The situation in Ukraine is déjà vu for Mikhail Saakashvili, who was president of the Republic of Georgia in 2008. That was the last time Vladimir Putin used military force to occupy a former Soviet province. He's still in control of those two provinces, Abkhazia and South Ossetia. That war lasted 5 days. Nearly 300 died. The result of that invasion is, well, Russia's still in control. Troops are still there in those two provinces of Georgia. Out front tonight, President Saakashvili, he is in Kiev. He has been working with opposition leaders there. And great to see you, Mr. President. We appreciate your taking the time. Again, it's good to talk to you. You know Vladimir Putin.
Nice to be back on your show.
Thank you, sir. You know Vladimir Putin so well. He denies issuing an ultimatum to Ukraine. How far is he willing to push this? You heard Ben Wiedemann say not a shot has been fired. You told me on Friday you thought this could be a hot war.
Well, I just had a long conversation with the head of Ukraine's security service, Valentina Limaychenko, and he indeed confirmed that there were multiple ultimatums coming from Russia, and he confirmed that Russians are preparing for some kind of attack on Ukrainian Navy that is surrounded in Crimea. And certainly the longer it lasts, the bigger it will get. Back in 2008, it's true that hundreds of people, some people would argue from both sides, when you also see Russian casualties, thousands of people were killed as a result of Putin's adventure in the invasion of my country. 500,000 of Georgians have become IDPs, Georgians of all origins, and we see all the same risk in Crimea. We have Crimean Tatars that don't want to live with Russian occupation. We have those people in Crimea who don't agree with Russian presence there, and certainly Vladimir Putin has blueprint for these people, and he applied it in Georgia: ethnic cleansing, occupation, and annexation of these territories, if he is allowed to get away with that.
And ethnic cleansing is obviously a very serious word. Do you mean it in all of what that word might mean?
Well, I mean, in Georgia, they did apply it. There are several waves of ethnic cleansing. Basically, the places they occupy in Georgia, one place, South Ossetia, is almost totally emptied of population. The other one has only 20% of pre-war population. So they cleansed like 500 million people. For a country of less than 5 million, it's a huge burden. And certainly the problem is in Crimea is that they have a big number of Crimean Tatars, the indigenous population that are totally pro-Ukrainian government, that don't want to live with Russian occupation. These people have been protesting very vividly, and certainly I think they are all in danger, as well as the other people that would not agree with Vladimir Putin. That's the problem we are facing there, and so I think the world has to act, because if the further it gets, it will get bigger. It will influence everything, starting from Syrian situation to financial markets. It will influence European situation. I'm sure if it goes like that, it will influence domestic U.S. politics. So it's really a big crisis that is looming and getting bigger with every hour.
And Mr. President, when you talk about this getting bigger, and you say just moments ago that that you're reporting that the Russian Navy has been surrounding the Ukrainian ships off the coast of Crimea, when you say get bigger, what do you think could happen? Do you think there's actually going to be shots fired? There's actually going to be tanks? There's actually going to be war? And if so, how quickly?
Well, I mean, Russia's brought in their latest combat helicopter gunships. They've not used it in any conflict before. Their Russian jets have been cruising around. Ukraine has enough anti-air capabilities to shoot down Russian planes at any moment. I got confirmation about it from the U.S., from the Ukrainian sources, that they can easily shoot them down. They've not got these orders yet. But, today, all over Ukraine, people are lining up for draft. There are lots of volunteers for Ukrainian army. After several weeks of total war propaganda on Russian media, now if you look at Ukrainian media, there is this big patriotic wave of really heroic people. Ukrainians are heroic people saying, well, first of all, they use word enemy about Russia all the time now. It was not the case even one day, like 24 hours before that. And the situation is that the Ukrainians are still looking at the world. President Obama said that it will cost Russia. It's a very good statement to make. I think I welcome it, and Ukrainians are welcoming it. But the point is that because for Putin it's a zero-sum game, if it doesn't cost Russia, it will certainly cost all of us. It will cost the United States. That's why the Ukrainians are looking with hope. They hope that their NATO membership will be accelerated. I hope that Georgia will be put on fast track for membership as well for NATO, because all of us are in danger, and we all need now strong backing from Western alliances just for the sake of peace, in order to avoid the worst. And by the way, when you mentioned that the U.S. should know that, I just got confirmation that U.S. satellites are focused on Crimea, so the United States have full information about what's happening really there.
So you said the United States numbers, you sounds like you're trusting those, given that you're reporting now really for us that the satellites are focused there. Before you go, Mr. President, let me ask you this, though, this crucial question, because you've been through this before. Your country was being fast-tracked for NATO, and that got taken away. I mean, in a sense, you could look at it and say Georgia got punished for what happened. With the situation right now, the United States saying sanctions are on the table, they're going to work with Europe on those. Is that enough? Do you think that the West will be able to stop this without using military force?
Well, I mean, there are many other things they can apply. As I mentioned, there should be fast-track procedure for the EU and NATO membership of Georgia and Ukraine. But also there are a number of other instruments that can be used. You know, last time I was in Miami, it was full of, kids of Russian government members and Russian oligarchs. They all work very closely with Putin. They have houses in Florida. If the United States no longer gives them visas to go there, or you don't need to send even tanks. You can send fiscal agents to the U.S. banks. And there are a number of other measures that the U.S. can apply at this stage to send very strong signal. You know, people are defecting for Putin, would defect from Putin if they see that, their bank accounts are closed, they can no longer go freely to the West. And, Russian, it's not North Korea, and it's not some other, pariah state. Russians want to be part of the international community, but they also don't want to pay costs for all these kind of adventures. And you cannot have both. You cannot go shopping to Western capitals and at the same time rampage with your troops from a big European country. Those two are not compatible, and I think they should be clearly demonstrated by the United States, and it's doable. It's perfectly doable, but with everyday delay. I heard the European Union say right things, and I think Secretary Kerry said very strong words: aggression and occupation. Now, what we need to see that the U.S. credibility is enforced here, because when the European Union says we need to de-escalate, it's not about de-escalation anymore. It's already escalated. It's about de-occupation. It's occupation situation here, and if you use the word, it should be applied to occupation rather just to de-escalation. Until Russia leaves the territory for good, there can be no de-escalation here.
All right. Well, thank you very much, President Saakashvili. We very much appreciate your time. As we said, he's been meeting with the opposition in Kiev and reporting tonight that they're saying that there are Russian ships surrounding Ukrainian vessels off the port of Crimea.